Hello, YouTube. From time to time, I'll bring to you information about the research and writings and discoveries of a very interesting Russian scientist, Valentin Psalomshikov. According to the best of my knowledge, he passed away in 2021, but the legacy he left behind, his writings, are incredible and virtually unknown in the West. But I really respect his work, and I think you will find it very interesting too. So today I want to tell you about his writings about teleportation in China that go back to 2008. And he talked about so-called comrade Che. So who is this comrade Che? Who, without being a member of the Politburo of the Chinese Communist Party, enjoyed unheard of privileges. For a long time, special agents of a number of foreign powers whose representatives' offices were located in Beijing tried to uncover his secrets. However, Psalomshikov stated, we will not delve into the espionage and all kinds of detective and thriller thickets, especially since now the identity of this man has already become the property of history. And in the United States, for example, several serious scientific papers are devoted to him. Those who showed interest in this top-secret personality at that time, first of all, established that his godfather, so to say, was none other than Zhang, the founder of Chinese space technology, a man who was even more classified than Comrade Che, whose real name is Zhang Baoshen. Until 1951, Zhang Huashen worked in the United States, and after a while his former managers tore their hair out because they let him out of the country. Now, Comrade Tse, as Zhang Huashen was called, after a short time led China to become a member of the World Nuclear and Space Club, so to say, and as a result had a huge influence on the country's leadership and the military. Having personally become acquainted with Zhang Baoshen's unusual abilities, Zhang Huashen turned to the science department of the Chinese Communist Party's Central Committee to authorize special research on this human phenomenon. Knowing that all his actions are being monitored by foreign intelligence spies, he held a public presentation in one of the 5-star hotels in Beijing, where in front of amazed spectators, he remotely bent spoons and forks made of silverware, thereby perfectly playing up to Yuri Geller. However, as Psalomshikov wrote, Yuri Geller earned his limousine with a more serious business, the psychic search for new oil fields. And here follows a worldwide sensation. It turns out that Zhang Baoshen had a unique ability to teleport living and inanimate objects. Moreover, he expressed his willingness to demonstrate this to any commission on their terms. Actually, it was supposed to conduct demonstration experiments at the Beijing University, or Peking at the time. However, in order not to excite the public of the largest scientific institution and not to undermine its materialistic worldview, the research was entrusted to the physics department of the Beijing Pedagogical Institute. They were attended by 19 scientists led by Professor Lin Shuhua. The experiments were conducted from December 1982 to May 1983. The control was carried out with the help of the most advanced scientific equipment, television cameras, radio stations, X-ray equipment, secret chemical tags. When Zhang Baosheng demonstrated, what he demonstrated was incredible. Dematerialization was taking place in front of the members of the commission. Objects and their occurrence in an adjacent closed and sealed room. Of particular interest were 15 experiments with an autonomous microtransmitter the size of a matchbox and operating at frequencies 93 to 193 megahertz. Under Zhang's mental influence, it disappeared in one place and appeared in another. At the same time, the radiation of the transmitter was received and recorded in an adjacent room. During the experiment, there was an oscillation in the amplitude of the signal, then its complete disappearance at the moment of teleportation and registration of a weakened signal at the moment of materialization. At the same time, an abnormally fast battery consumption was recorded. In the control experiment, in 5 hours of operation of the transmitter, the battery voltage dropped from 4.5 volts to 2.1 volts. And when it was dematerialized in 88 minutes, the battery potential dropped from 4.5 to 0.2 volts. The time required for an object to disappear under the influence of the psychic ranged from 1 to 53 minutes, and the duration of its stay in a dematerialized state ranged from 24 seconds to 1 hour or more. The researchers also conducted experiments on teleportation of watches and photographic materials, film and paper. Teleportation was carried out from one light-tight package to another. Experiments have shown that the photographic materials were not illuminated at the same time. There can be two explanations for this fact. Either through whatever super or hyperspace teleportation took place, it was dark there, or it happens in such a short period of time that the photographic material does not have time to light up. The course of the mechanical clock during teleportation has not changed. The time of their absence in our time and space is 30 minutes 43 seconds. The electronic clock is 7.5 minutes behind with a transfer time of 9 minutes. Experiments on teleportation of living beings aroused particular interest. Historical chronicles from the time of Columbus to the present day describe unexplained cases of spontaneous teleportation of people, sometimes even from continent to continent. In the 17th century, there was a case of transfer from the Asian continent to the South American one. That's how it happened. A soldier stood guard outside the governor's palace in Manila. Suddenly he felt dizzy, his vision went dark, and nausea rose in his throat. He lost consciousness for a few moments, and when he woke up, he found himself in the central square of Mexico City, 13,000 kilometers from his former duty station. A soldier from Manila teleported to Mexico City with a gun, but the Vidal couple from the city of Maipú in Argentina were transported there along with a car at a distance of 8,000 kilometers from home. This case, according to press reports, took place on June the 3rd, 1968. Before teleporting, the Vidal's car drove into a strip of thick fog. When the fog disappeared, there was a completely different landscape around. When Vidal got out of the car, he found that all the paint on the body seemed to have burned off. These are just two examples from many similar stories. And by the way, you can find my research in teleportation in the Soviet Union and Russia in the playlists, time, travel, and so forth in this channel. So, but back to China. That is why the Chinese researchers were very interested in conducting an experiment with Zhang Baoshen on teleportation of living things, fruit flies, after being transferred and disappearing 11 to 73 minutes, were alive for several more days. Of course, the researchers observed only the fact of teleportation, but could not explain the mechanism of the phenomenon. By the way, let's pay attention to the fact that combined space-time teleportation was observed in these experiments, and the same transmitter was not just unknown where it was for 88 minutes, but was transferred to the future at that time. The Chinese researchers themselves were forced to admit that the observed effect is not a simple mechanical transfer in three-dimensional space. Psalomshikov added that in order for a sane reader not to suspect that this whole story is a fake, it should be mentioned that the results of research conducted at the Beijing Pedagogical Institute were published in the serious scientific journal Sci Research, Volume 2, Number 1, 1983, pages 3 to 24. After international recognition, Zhang Baosheng became a full-time employee of the 507th Institute in 1984. Its official, open source name is the Institute of Applied Medical and Space Research. It was he who was ordered by the General Secretary of the Communist Party of the People's Republic to study psi phenomena. The Institute had perfect foreign-made equipment, received unlimited funds for research, and it was in it that the most gifted psychics were tested. One of the main areas in which research was conducted was the remote, thousands of kilometers away, exposure of subjects to physico-chemical processes and electronic structures. In order to reduce the number of contacts with undesirable elements and the press, Zhang Baoshen lived on the territory of the Institute. Using many privileges inaccessible to ordinary Chinese, his unusual abilities have been repeatedly demonstrated to the top political and military leadership of China. For the same civilian researchers who used to work with him, he became almost inaccessible. There were rumors that on behalf of the military he was carrying out top-secret work on teleportation of objects of particular importance. In this connection, Psalomshikov recalled one very interesting publication in the Soviet Pravda newspaper that took place in the late 1970s. The article was called "The Hand of Moscow." In short, its essence is as follows. A group of senior officers gathered at one of the secret facilities of the United States military. One of them opened a safe with top-secret documents. But as soon as the folder with the papers was on the table, a hand appeared out of thin air, grabbed the folder, and disappeared with it. The generals watching the scene immediately saw in it the hand of Moscow and demanded funds from the government for parapsychological research, in which the Soviets were significantly ahead of them. But as we now know, it could well have been the hand of Comrade Che, because if it wasn't for moving fruit flies only that he was given a limousine. According to an agreement between the Academy of Sciences of the USSR and the People's Republic of China, in the early 1990s, Zhang Baoshen had to demonstrate his phenomenal abilities to Soviet experts. It was assumed that experiments with it in particular would be conducted in Leningrad at the Institute of Precision Mechanics and Optics, at the Department of Thermophysics of Professor Dulnev, a leading Leningrad specialist in the field of parapsychological and psychic research. But due to the disintegration of the USSR, this visit did not take place, for obvious reasons. The researchers only found themselves, the researchers only found for themselves, they found a fragment of a film shot in 1987, which demonstrates how Zhang Baosheng teleports labeled medicinal pills into a hermetically sealed vessel and back. At a normal filming speed, 24 frames per second, the teleportation process is not fixed. In one of the frames, the pill is still on the table. In the next, it is already in a test tube. And only at the shooting speed of 400 frames per second, it was possible to stretch this process into 3 frames. They show how the image of the pill begins to blur, and then it is clearly fixed in a closed vessel. Famous Russian circus artist Yuri Gorny once boasted to journalists that he would easily reproduce the phenomenon of any psychic. Psalomshikov really wanted to see how, with the help of mental effort, he would be able to move the pill from the table into a sealed test tube. And he also wanted to know what other Chinese phenomena are being worked on at the 507th Institute. The further fate of Comrade Che is not known. There is an opinion that the man still works for the same services he did in the beginning, but this was in 2008. Who knows what happened since then? So this is not at all a new material, but maybe it will help you when you ask questions about teleportation. I've described other types of teleportation, and I believe there is the quantum physics angle to it right now, and it's being studied in China as well. So stay tuned, and maybe we will find out more one day. But definitely there is progress. It's covered. I'm 100% sure, no matter where it's taking place, this research. If you like my research, please support me through the links you will find in the description to this video. Please tell others about my channel. Please like my videos. Thank you for your attention to my work.